Hello again from Punchkeep, a modern management technology company. To set the stage, there are 29 million retail service employees in the US. That is approximately 10% of the entire population of the country. Those 28 million people are working for approximately 1 million retailers, and those 1 million retailers are managing their tens of millions of employees with inefficient and primitive methods such as Excel, spreadsheets, or pen and paper. Retailers are content with the status quo, but given the advances of modern technology, there are easily superior alternatives which would improve everyone's quality of life. Punchkeep is designed to help managers manage and to help employees feel more connected with their work. Now, I'd like to talk about the average grocery store. So Rayleigh's is a good example of an average grocery store. It has an Oracle HR system, which was released in 2006 and has been regularly upgraded for the past 14 years with minor changes along the way. And they are able to take in employee work preferences and availabilities through a separate website, which then feeds into their system. Unfortunately, this connection is kind of buggy, and their Oracle HR system has a habit of deleting everyone's information every few months. Because of this, managers typically do not rely on the system. They instead use a pen and paper approach to schedule their employees, track who is available when, and after they have manually performed this process, they will then upload the final schedule into their HR system. And this allows them to track hours, benefits, clock in, clock outs, all of the other features which their Oracle HR system handles for them. Now, in order to ease the burden on their employees, they will publish their schedule and handwrite 4 copies to spread around the store so that employees know when their shifts are coming up and what time they have to arrive. But occasionally employees will forget their shifts, and this results in an inefficient work relationship. Now, why are managers relying on a paper system? Well, their enterprise system doesn't work, and photocopies have no startup investment. They're easy to use, but they are time consuming, and managers have to perform a not necessarily strenuous but very repetitive task every 2 weeks in order to create a schedule. Now, this sort of setup can be automated very easily on computers. In fact, their Oracle HR system is capable of doing something sort of similar, but in an unintuitive and inefficient way. Enter Punchkeep. Punchkeep is a simple, focused scheduling web app which offers none of the advanced features of Rayleigh's Oracle HR system, but it does offer an intuitive UI, something where you can click and drag different entries or stretch and shift different entries in order to set availabilities, in order to schedule shifts. And it gives managers an easy to read and intuitive overview of the state of their store. Now, on the employee side, the employee is able to detect and know when they have shifts. They can look up their specific shifts, and then Punchkeep would also give them additional features which would make it easier for them to track when they have to get to work and also get to work on time. Things like having a um, things like having a reminder function where the app can send a file to your phone, which will sync to your calendar and give you a calendar event for your shift, all done automatically. And this is something which would be easy to do manually. It's very easy to enter a calendar event into your phone, but this streamlines the whole process and makes everything easier for both sides. So why do something like this? So 28 million retail employees means a lot of money. Um, and it also means managing a very complex organization. For example, Walmart, the largest retailer in America, is the third single largest employer in the entire world, behind the US and Chinese militaries. Now, Walmart has hundreds of billions of dollars in annual revenue, and about 10% of that immediately goes into labor costs. So that's hundreds of billions of dollars in labor across the entire industry, with much of it being managed using pen and paper or Excel spreadsheets. Now, companies like Oracle, which include features into their HR Office suites, have not really invested too much into refining features like employee scheduling. But when taking a look at the overall opportunity, uh, there is several $100 million worth of money being invested into IT budgets, and that money is going to improving efficiency and increasing gross margins. So, given the current state of events, there is the possibility of charging hundreds of millions of dollars in order to save hundreds of billions of dollars for companies. Now, the market as it stands is primarily dominated by enterprise suites such as PeopleSoft by Oracle or Intuit's offerings. These systems either have a cloud subscription model or a local one-time purchase model. They're quite expensive because they're very richly featured and offer all of the different technologies that businesses need in order to comply with labor laws, in order to manage payroll and track employee needs across the year during holidays, etc., etc. These systems are very complicated. They are often quite old and quite Byzantine. They're not very easy to use, but they do offer a complete one-size-fits-all packages for business. And when looking specifically at scheduling, there are two main competitors to PunchKeep's proposed product. There are a few startups and small companies which produce scheduling specific software, such as Shiftboard, a small startup which produces an expensive but easy to use piece of scheduling software, which does not include all of the features of enterprise suites, but it is compatible with those systems, and they do provide the benefits of a powerful scheduling application. The more common alternative is the pen and paper approach already mentioned, and that has the advantage of being basically free and being very straightforward and easy to learn, but it's not at all fully featured, and while it is easy to use, it is time consuming and a bit monotonous. So PunchKeep would seek to slot in somewhere between the newer offerings from companies such as Shiftboard and the traditional primitive pen and paper methods. It would offer the same sort of ease of use as these other alternatives, but it would come in cheaper than Shiftboard and cheaper even than pen and paper when considering the labor costs involved in doing these sorts of things by hand. To start off, Punchkeep would try to get its foot into the door of a small local store, something where the company can have a personal relationship with the store owners and the store managers, and they can be shown the utility of this product. And more than that, they would have the authority to be able to make a purchase order and to provide the company with revenue. After getting these sorts of initial customers, the hope would be that this would give enough credence to make it into the door of local chains, local chain retailers, where there's a bit more of a process involved in purchasing software, but because of the already established reputation of the software, they would be open to the idea of purchase. And after getting experience in the enterprise world and after selling products to smaller chains, the hope would be that we could sell the product to larger and larger retailers. So currently the company is made up of a single person, and this is me. I have background in coding, electrical engineering, computer science, and while this is not my domain of expertise, I am capable of producing a rough product which can later be refined. Now, assuming I can produce a finished or semi-finished product on my own, expectations would be that this sort of product could be purchased by about 100 stores. And getting into about 100 stores would produce $60,000 worth of revenue across a single year. Assuming 100 stores is a feasible target, that $60,000 would then be able to fund further investment in software development and hopefully fuel triple year-over-year growth. So $200,000 in the second year and then $600,000 in the third year. And sometime during the first year, assuming those forecasts are being somewhat followed, the hope would be that we could acquire an investor who could more quickly fuel development and therefore more quickly fuel sales and adoption. The early cost of acquiring a consumer was pegged at $20. This would be roughly the time spent talking to a manager, purchasing gas in order to travel to a store, and essentially function as a door-to-door salesman. And then the total revenue generated per customer would be $1,800 over 3 years, $600 over 12 months, $25 per month. The hope would be that a finished prototype can be produced in December 2020, and then sometime in Q1 of 2021, first sale can happen, and then sometime by the end of 2021, through investor funding and revenue, professional software development could be funded. And then in Q1 of 2020, the hope would be that if an investor has not already been found, they would be found. And then by June of 2021, an 18-month professional software development cycle could be complete, and then the software will be ready for a larger company to purchase and use, and perhaps for an investor to invest further.